What happens when a single misstep turns a peaceful day into a fight for survival? In this gripping story, Ly Tu Diem falls deep into the forest, her phone shattered, her leg badly injured, and no way to call for help. As night falls and a storm unleashes its fury, her husband Toan races against time, following a trail of blood through the unforgiving wilderness. But danger lurks in the shadows, and hope is slipping away. Don't miss this emotional, heart-pounding journey. Subscribe now and follow their story of love, courage, and survival in the face of despair. The forest was eerily quiet, save for the rustling of leaves beneath Ly Tu Diem's weary footsteps and the occasional cry of distant birds. A soft breeze whispered through the trees, carrying with it the earthy scent of damp soil and moss. Diem clutched the bundle of freshly picked bamboo shoots tightly against her chest, her hands scraped from earlier slips on the muddy trail. The shadows of the towering trees danced ominously in the late afternoon sun, casting flickering patterns across the narrow path. She had wandered deeper than usual, but the lush green promised a good harvest, and she had wanted to surprise Toan with a warm meal after days of him working tirelessly. Just as she took another cautious step, her foot landed on what she thought was solid ground, a patch of moss-covered rock slick with hidden moisture. The moment her weight pressed down, it gave way beneath her. Her scream tore through the silence as she lost balance and tumbled down the steep, rocky incline. The world spun wildly, branches slashing at her arms, stones cutting into her back, until a sharp thud sent a wave of pain searing through her ankle. When she finally came to a stop, her body crumpled awkwardly against a jagged boulder. Everything hurt. Her breath came in ragged gasps as she blinked up at the canopy above. But then, a new terror gripped her. Where was her phone? She twisted around despite the pain and spotted it a few feet away. It had landed hard on a stone, the screen shattered, the casing split open. Diem dragged herself toward it, each movement sending fresh jolts of agony through her swollen ankle. With trembling fingers, she picked up the device and pressed the power button. Nothing. She tried again, still no response. A low, desperate whimper escaped her lips as the reality set in. The phone was dead, and so was her only connection to the outside world. The pain in her leg was unbearable. She tried to stand, using a nearby rock for support, but the moment she put weight on her right foot, she collapsed with a stifled cry. Her ankle was twisted, possibly fractured. She was stuck. Panic surged through her veins as the shadows grew longer. She reached for the cloth tied around her waist and wrapped it tightly around her ankle in a crude attempt to stop the swelling. The coldness of the stone beneath her, the chirping of insects now growing louder, all reminded her she was alone in the heart of a vast forest. There were no signals, no roads, no people. With great effort, she crawled to a nearby crevice between two rocks and tucked herself in, trying to conserve warmth. Her breaths were shallow, laced with fear. She didn't know how far she had fallen, how deep into the forest she had wandered, or how long she could last without food or water. Her stomach growled quietly, but it was the throbbing pain and silence that terrified her most. Diem hugged her knees, eyes stinging with unshed tears. The forest now felt alive with unseen eyes, watching her every move. She prayed that anyone, would realize she was missing. But in that moment, with a broken phone in hand and the forest closing in around her, hope began to flicker like a candle in the wind, fragile and fading. The forest had swallowed her whole. Miles away, Toan's boots crunched over damp leaves as he led the search party deeper into the thick underbrush. His shirt clung to his back with sweat, but he felt nothing, only the ache in his chest that grew heavier with each passing second. "Diem," he called again, voice hoarse from hours of shouting. The sound was swallowed by the trees, echoing faintly before fading into nothingness. All around him, the search team worked tirelessly. Flashlights flickered between trunks, walkie-talkies crackled with updates, and every now and then, someone would kneel to examine a clue, a broken branch, a footprint in the mud, or, this time, something more chilling. "Toan," one of the men called, his voice tight. "Over here." Toan rushed over, his heart slamming against his ribs. The man pointed to a cluster of mossy stones. There, smeared faintly across a leaf and dribbling down the edge of a rock, was blood. Toan froze. His breath caught in his throat. "It's fresh," the rescuer murmured. "Still red." For a second, Toan could barely breathe. Then something inside him snapped: urgency, dread, fury. He dropped to his knees and examined the trail himself. The droplets were spaced apart, thin, as if Diem had still been moving but slowly, painfully. He could picture it, her crawling, dragging herself forward, injured and alone. The image tore through him like a blade. "She's alive," he whispered. "She's trying to hold on." Those words became his driving force. He stood up, eyes blazing with renewed determination. "We stay close to this trail. Don't spread out too far. She's hurt. She can't have gone far." The forest, however, was not kind. The deeper they moved, the thicker the vines grew, the more twisted the terrain became. The sun had dipped low beyond the treetops, casting everything in hues of fading golden shadow. The blood trail continued, but the drops became more irregular, harder to find. Every time they spotted another trace, it was fainter than the last, a smudge on bark, a print in wet soil. It was like chasing a ghost. Toan kept moving. He couldn't stop thinking about the last time he saw Diem, that morning, her laughter as she packed her basket, her hand waving him off as she disappeared behind the trees. He should have gone with her. He should have insisted. Now the memory felt like a punishment. A sudden gust of wind rustled the leaves above them. The trees groaned as if warning of something coming. Then a drop of rain hit his cheek. Toan looked up. The sky, which had been veiled with cloud for the last hour, now opened with a deep rumble of thunder. Rain began to fall, not gently, but in thick, cold sheets. Within moments, the forest floor turned to slick mud, and the already fragile trail of blood vanished before their eyes. "No, no," Toan whispered, crouching near where they last saw a mark. The leaf was clean now, the stone washed. The rain was erasing her. The search team grew silent. Even the radio went quiet, as if the forest itself had decided to bury its secrets once more. Toan stood motionless in the rain, fists clenched, lips trembling. He had promised her once, "As long as I breathe, I will never let you be alone." Now, somewhere in this merciless wilderness, his wife was fighting to stay alive, and time was slipping through their fingers like water through cracks. But Toan refused to surrender. Not yet. Not when he knew she was still out there, cold, scared, bleeding, waiting for him. Rain fell like a curse. The sky had cracked open with a roar, and now the downpour hammered the forest floor, drowning out all other sounds. Water streamed down leaves in torrents, soaking the ground, turning narrow trails into slippery streams of mud. The night crept in under the curtain of storm clouds, thick and black, and visibility shrank to only a few feet ahead. Flashlights flickered in the downpour, barely piercing the gloom. Toan trudged forward, soaked to the bone, his heart pounding with dread. The blood trail had vanished completely beneath the flood of rain. Every inch of progress now was a guess, a prayer, a desperate hope that they hadn't passed her, that she hadn't slipped further down some hidden ravine. His voice, hoarse from calling, had become almost a whisper. "DM, please, give me a sign." But there was no answer. Only the thunder. Only the forest breathing in the rain. Elsewhere, not far, yet far enough, Ly Tu Diem curled up in the tiny crevice she had found hours ago. Her body was trembling violently. The rain had soaked through her clothes, her skin ice cold. Her injured ankle throbbed with every heartbeat. Blood had long stopped flowing, replaced by swelling and a burning ache that made her lightheaded. She couldn't feel her fingers anymore, and her breaths came shallow and irregular. Above her, water trickled down the rock, dripping steadily onto her neck, but she had no energy to move. Her bundle of bamboo shoots had been lost somewhere along the fall, her phone still dead in her hands. She clutched it anyway, as if some miracle might spark it back to life, as if holding it meant she was still connected to the world she'd vanished from. Diem's thoughts drifted to the smell of Toan's cooking, the warmth of his arms around her at night, the way he always kissed her forehead before leaving for work. She smiled weakly, eyes fluttering shut. "He must be looking for me now," she thought. "He always finds me." Then a branch snapped nearby. Her eyes jolted open. The sound had come from somewhere behind the rocks. Her heart surged with both fear and fragile hope. Was it Toan? Or something else? Through the rain, a low rustle. The crunch of wet leaves. She held her breath. A shadow moved just beyond the curtain of vines, large, slow, deliberate. And then she saw it. Two glowing yellow eyes stared back at her in the darkness. Her breath hitched in terror. A wild animal. A predator. She tried to scream, but her voice caught. Her hands groped around for a stone, a stick, anything, but her limbs wouldn't obey. She was too cold, too weak. The creature stepped forward, a low growl echoing from its chest. Just as panic gripped her heart, a sudden voice, faint but real, cut through the rain. DM. It was him. Toan, she gasped, barely audible. The growling stopped. The shadow froze. A beam of flashlight swept through the trees. Another call. DM. With the last of her strength, she reached out toward the light, letting the broken phone slip from her hand. It hit the rock below with a soft clink. Toan, she whispered again, and then everything went dark.
Về tình yêu của Diễm và Toàn. Cảm ơn các bạn đã theo dõi. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại. Bye bye.